lot of religion and art go hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly. Patronage and whatnot.
Sure. Get sick now.
Catch the background.
Thank you. Yeah. Alright, so you're good. You know where you're going?
Daniel Fisher, yeah.
Alright.
ITV.
Yep.
Yeah.
How you going?
Police! No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
Prosecute the police! No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
You better prosecute the police! Alright, so thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for waiting. This time we're gonna get started.
Absolutely. Alrighty, hi everyone. My name is DK Lewis. I am here with Mass Action New York as one of the members of the steering committee. I am here just to read up a little bit about Mass Action New York, in particular our principles of unity that we have united together for. So, Mass Action Against Police Brutality is open to all victims of police brutality, their families and allies in the communities of color, immigrant communities, unions, student groups, women's rights groups, churches, LGBT folks, and all defenders of democratic rights who want to take a fight for the prosecution of the police and to end institutionalized racism. To fight for the prosecution of the police in national cases like Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Ariana Stanley Jones, to local cases like Burley Ramsey White, Dennis Vanicio, and all other cases of police brutality. For criminal acts by municipal, state, federal police, to housing, transit, campus, and police all forms and agencies of the police, private and public. Get me all the mic, actually. A campaign that agitates, educate, investigate, mobilize, and organize an orientation to communities is most effective to bring maximum public and political pressure to bear on the government to enforce the law and prosecute and convict police who are guilty of brutality. A campaign that will use methods of mass action to achieve its goals, methods such as protests, picket lines, mass meetings, door-to-door campaigns, press conferences, speak-outs, to draw the broadest number of people into political action around our demands. We will use methods to promote the development and confidence, organizational capabilities, and political understandings of the community. A campaign for prosecution of the police. We demand the prosecution of the police in the cases of Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Ariana Stanley Jones, Burley Ramsey White, Dennis Vanicio, and the jailing of those who are guilty of these other savage acts of abuse. We also demand the opening of all past cases of police brutality, abuse, and murder, the prosecution and the punishment of police who are guilty. Further, we demand an end to harassment and intimidation of victims and the witnesses of police brutality, as well as a full financial compensation for victims and their families. The campaign will not be used to organize to promote FBI investigations, federal mediation, federal receiverships, civilian review boards, body cameras, and more minority police, racial sensitivity training, or other methods like these as a way to defend the community against police brutality. These methods are not designed to prosecute the police, but rather to restore public confidence in the police. They are used to defund demands for prosecuting police brutality and minimize punishment for guilty cops. However, We recognize that honest opponents of police brutality who support demand for prosecution can have honest different opinions of the above questions. The fighters are free to participate in the campaigns with the understanding that the principle of unities must be abided by. And finally, members, former members, or people training or working to become members of any police organization are excluded from participating in campaigns. People who are working or have worked as prosecutors, probation officers, or similar capabilities of the court systems are also excluded from participation in the campaign. Police informants and past informants are excluded from participation in this campaign. We are here with our two central demands. One, to reopen all cases of police brutality and police cover-ups. And two, to prosecute the police!
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 Thank you!
To call up our first family member, the family member of Ariel Galarza, who was tasered to death right here in New York City, and who has a case coming up. So we're asking that all of y'all show out to this case and help this family get justice.
Hi, my name is Mildred Jimenez Galarza.
Can't hear you louder.
Little louder.
Shout.
My name is Mildred Jimenez Galarza. I was born in Manhattan. We grew up, after Manhattan, I was born in Manhattan. My mother lived on Southern Blake. So from there, when I was before I was 1 year old, they moved to Park Slope, Brooklyn. So my brother comes from Park Slope, Brooklyn, a good neighborhood. We were raised Catholic, we're Christians. We were raised with good morals. Now, my brother, Ariel Galarza, was tasered to death. And I want to see justice. I don't even want to know the name of the police officers, but I do know that I demand video footage. I also demand justice for my brother. I also demand for them to open all cases, because there's a lot of abuse going on everywhere with police. We need better testing. We need better police training. We need better evaluations, psychiatrical evaluations, all right? Because they come from messed up neighborhoods, just like we come from messed up neighborhoods. So what I'm seeking is for those police officers to give out video footage, because they know what they did. They entered my brother's apartment through doors he didn't come out through, because my brother fell and he got hurt in front of the building. So my brother used to come out through the back of the building. So they broke one door, how they got keys to the other? That's what I want to know. I want answers. You know, I'm sick. Right now, they're filtering my blood. I have lupus and multiple sclerosis, and I have heart problems. I'm carrying with the monitor. I'm not even supposed to be out here, you know? So I want justice, and I demand justice, and I want to see arrests. I want to see all of them arrested. The same way they chased my brother, I want to hear the sound of the click on all those police officers that were in my brother's apartment, you know, for no reason. You know, my brother was alone talking on the telephone. I want answers. I want video footage, because they have them. I want to see the whole video footage. I demand it. I demand justice. You know, those police officers shouldn't be working right now. You know?
Should be in jail.
Exactly. They should be in jail. You know? They didn't have no reason to detain my brother. You know? No tenant should have been entering my brother's apartment with no police officers. One door was broken, the other one was locked. So, you know, I want this to be investigated thoroughly. That's all I demand. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Justice for Ariel Galarza. Justice for Ariel Galarza.
Justice for Ariel Galarza!
One more time, justice for Ariel Galarza.
Justice for Ariel Galarza!
My name is Angelique Negroni Kears. I am the wife of Andrew Kears, who was killed on May 11, 2017 My husband begged for his life over 70 times within 17 minutes and died in the back of a police car. He said, I can't breathe. He said, I'm feeling numb. And he said, I feel like throwing up. All the while Officer Mark Weeks thought he was lying. He was like a serial killer with no empathy. And you have this man on the job? Alright. I want you guys to understand that they just don't kill our loved ones. You know, we go through PTSD. We go through depression. We go through anxiety. And they go through nothing. There's a win for George Floyd, but there should be a win for us all.
That's right.
If you're screaming only George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and you don't know the names are in your state, then you guys got a problem. Because there's a lot of us. And we want justice. You need to start speaking our names. Because that's what we want. We want justice. We demand that you open up all the cases. We demand that you prosecute the officers. And we demand that you jail all killer cops. 4 years I've been fighting for my husband. 4 long, hard years. Okay? And finally, in June, I got his law passed, which is called the Andrew Kears Act. And that states that if anybody is any kind of medical distress or any mental illness, that they will be held accountable and get a civil law. That's a big win. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, last June, they put it into the Senate. It got to the floor twice. And now, this past May 11th, they reintroduced his law into the Senate. So that if Andrew had to die in that manner, to save just one, then he didn't die in vain, and that was his purpose. So I need this law to pass. I need the officers to be prosecuted, and we need them to be jailed, because that's what we want. We want justice. We want all these fake ass activists to step behind us, because we could speak for ourselves. Stop making money off our loved ones and our blood, because it's not right. I see so many of our survivors crying for help and asking for help, and all they want is just justice for our loved ones, and we can't get it. While these officers just stay on the job, living their lives like nothing. Is that fair to us? No. So you should be behind with each and every one of our families and help seek justice for us, because that's what we want. We want them to be heard. They need to be heard. They need to get their angel wings. Thank you. And justice for Andrew Kears.
Justice for Andrew Kears!
Justice for Andrew Kears.
Justice for Andrew Kears!
One more time.
Justice for Andrew Kears.
Justice for Andrew Kears!
Thank you.
Congress passed the Andrew Kears Act to make New York's law the law of the United States of America.
While the conviction of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd was a start, it is just one of many cases. Troy Hodge, Daniel Prude, Malcolm Ferguson, Andrew Kears, Muhammad Ba, and so many more have been murdered by a system who doesn't give a shit about people of color, about people who are part of working families, about you, about me. They don't give a fuck. We are here today to demand justice for all, that the United States judicial system reopens all cases of police brutality and prosecutes the police. For too long, the police have been the attack dogs of the rich and powerful, serving a system that has been constructed to keep black people in chains, to keep working people poor, and to keep those in power powerful and the rich rich. The first police department in the United States was founded right here in New York City in 1844. And right from the start, they were established as a militant command force whose job was to protect property, not people. To keep minority communities down, not help them up. To keep us divided so that they do not want us to unite against them. In 2019, New York taxpayers funded nearly $70 million over NYPD misconduct and brutality. And yet, we can't get decent subsidized health care, where victims of police brutality are getting beaten to near death, having to go into medical debt bondage to pay their bills for the injuries that the police inflicted. $5.2 billion of NYPD's budget is funded by our tax dollars, by working families like you and me. The wages of our labor, the money for our community is being stolen for us to pay the police to kill us, to oppress us, to destroy families and end lives, all on your dime. Now, I know what you're all thinking. These costs, these injustices, these racist and classist systems that perpetually rot our city, our nation to its very core, that we need to take back what's ours and defund the police. While this is not something that I'm necessarily against, that's not why we're standing here today. Before any utopic ideas can be established like defund and the eventual abolish, we need to first set a precedent of justice to make sure that when doing something like defund or abolish does come to fruition, it is not replaced with just another institution with the same old policies of racism and violence. When the INS was disbanded in 2003, what happened? We ended up with ICE. When slavery was abolished, the slave catchers were then reorganized as the police. Without setting a precedent for justice, we will run the risk of just having these rotten policies and police forces continue to be enforced under an agency of a new name. This is why so many major media corporations run so many articles to defund or abolish, because the shareholders know this exact reality. But when you bring up prosecution of the police and accountability, all of a sudden the presses are stopped and fear looms over those in institutional power. Because they know that prosecution will set a precedent, and that precedent will bring about actual applicable change. This is why Mass Action Against Police Brutality is organizing family members and survivors of police brutality to set this precedent of justice. Their precedent of justice. We are assisting family members to push their demands to reopen all cases of police brutality and cover-up and to prosecute the police. Our legal system was designed around turning precedent into law. It is time that we set precedent so that this quote-unquote law enforcement establishments like the NYPD have the law enforced on them, so that we can no longer hide behind qualified immunity or the organized crime consortium that they dare to call a police union. With our legal precedent set by reopening the cases, followed by prosecution of the police, we will hold them accountable, and we will make systematic change within this country. So let us stand in solidarity with family members like Hawa Ba, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but is presenting Muhammad Ba's case later this week and needs our support. With Ariel Gonzalez's case, Ariel Galarza's case is on June 21st in the Bronx and needs our support. With Juanita Young, who has been fighting this fight for 20 years so that mothers don't have to suffer the tragedy of burying their own children. With Angie Kears, who fights so hard to make it so that future children don't have to hear how their father died in the back of a police car, begging for their lives while the cops are laughing and mocking their cries. With 200 plus families that have joined Mass Action Against Police Brutality to get justice, to set precedent, and to jail killer cops by prosecuting the police. What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
If we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
if we don't get it,
Shut it down!
Woo!
Thank you, thank you. Before I say anything, I just want us to remember George Floyd. Today is George Floyd's 1-year anniversary. And I also want us to remember all the victims of police brutality. And I honor every single victim. I couldn't fit everybody on my back, but I fit as many as I can, and I honor victims. We honor them. This is who we fight for. We stand for our people, man. You know what? My uncle was trying to break up a fight, John Collado, 10 years ago. And he lost his life when an undercover police officer never identified himself and pulled out his gun and murdered my uncle. And I tell you this is not an isolated incident. This goes on every day to black and brown people in America. And police get rewarded for it. They get a pass for it. And that's why we out here fighting every single day. Now, I don't want to hear nothing about retraining these officers. I don't want to hear nothing about reform. You know what? That just means more brutality, more terror on black and brown people. We don't need reform. We need to get rid of this whole system. This system is rotten to the core. This system is rotten to the core. There's no such thing as a good cop under this system. Police have murdered black and brown people with impunity. There's people like the Central Park 5, innocent, in jail, mass incarceration, immigrant kids in jail. You know, this is America with the 3 Ks. We need to fight. And you know what? Our fight is on the street. We cannot wait for another George Floyd. We cannot wait for another Eric Garner to happen. Our fight is in the street. And I thank everybody for being out here. Let's make sure we remember every victim out here. John Collado. John Collado was just trying to break up a fight between his neighbor and an undercover cop. The cop lied, and we found out what really happened through a civil trial. We got the transcripts of what really happened. There's evidence, there's video evidence, there's forensic evidence against this officer, James Connolly. And we come to find out that he had murdered 2 people, not only my uncle. He had murdered somebody before my uncle. And this is the type of police officers that get recognized by the mayor, Bill de Blasio. We got to get rid of these crooked cops. We got to get rid of these murderers. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Now you covered up your face though. Now you covering up your face because we on your ass. And I can tell you to suck my dick.
That's right. That's right.
Pussy. How about that? Pussy.
Might like that.
I don't care.
There's something else I want to say. We need more Bibles in society, you know, because we come from good people. So, you know, we need more funding for the mentally ill and for people with illnesses and for a whole lot of other things. Because my blood gets filtered in a cancer, in cancer center. So, you know, we need more help out here. You know, there's a lot of sick people out here. You know, we're not the only ones. You know, they have mental issues too. Thank you.
And that's where our money needs to go, to our communities,
Exactly.
not these terrorists.
Exactly.
We need to help our communities.
Yes.
To fund the police and put that money in our communities.
Yes.
Find the police. Abolish the police.
So my name is John Larkins. The police almost killed me. They tasered me in the back of the head 4 times. I was saving my deaf aunt's life. This happened in the hospital. I was sitting in a wheelchair. I had a broken leg. I played with these police not to tase me. They put the taser directly to my temple. And then, after everything happened, they beat my aunt, dragged her off, put her in 4-point restraints, and gassed her. While they were doing that, they turned me on my back. They're tasering me. First time, 7 seconds. Second time, 7 seconds. Third time, 7 seconds. The last time, man, I was almost gone. Everything was in slow motion. And something told me what to say. And it was so barbaric the way they acted. I said, what are y'all doing to me? I can't feel my legs. You know what these police officers started doing? They started high-fiving each other, saying, yeah, we got him, we got him. So they proceeded to walk me out on a broken leg. I said, I can't walk on a broken leg. He said, you're doing just fine. Puts the handcuffs up further behind my back. I stumble, they grab a handful of my hair, run me to the side of the cop car, and smack my face off the side of the car. Put my teeth through my lip. It felt like a ketchup packet. So then they put me in the back of the cop car, and I see them consoling my little nieces. Consoling them, telling them this is what happens in domestic violence. Couldn't be further from the truth. So I started yelling out the window to them. Risa, Nene, don't say nothing. These some bad cops. These some bad cops. Dominic Comatal came back up to the car, and I said every syllable, I want a lawyer. He goes to his little Batman belt. They all got him. Goes to his little Batman belt, starts shaking up the mace. And I'm in disbelief. I could put my tongue all the way through my lip and taste the air. I was chewing on pieces of my teeth. I said, you gonna mace me? Y'all just taser me. You messed my lip up. You gonna mace me? He says, yup, and proceeds to mace me in the eyes. Well, I ain't no dummy. I close my eyes. And then this guy sprays me in my open wound on my lip. That's not even the worst part. Check it. So I'm blind. He comes back in the car and pretends to be a different police officer. He said, whoa, guy, I just got here. Why don't you tell me what happened? So I'm panning. He unrolls the window. I'm panning out the window like a dog, thanking this man that did this to me. This guy drives me to a different hospital just so he could get the story. Once we get into the hospital, they put me in 4-point restraints. The doctor said I need stitches for my lip. I told him, I'm not taking no stitches. People going to know what Dominic Comatal did to me. So as they're getting the mace out of my eyes, these people tried to drug me. They tried to hold my head back and put a pill in my mouth. I spit it out, and I was on fire. So we go back. I get in the car again with them, and he's saying, boy, I can do whatever I want to you. You don't understand that? So I just shut up. There wasn't nothing. I had no power, nothing. So we finally get in there into the booking, and I asked the police, he wasn't there. So I asked the police, why am I here for? They said resisting arrest. I said, oh, okay. Well, there's no reason for arrest, so you can let me go, right? All of a sudden, Dominic Comatal comes back in, starts beating his chest. I'm doing this investigation. And I tell you why I don't believe in no good cops. Because I asked every single cop in there. I told them, this is the man that did it to me. Please help me. You know what they did? They packed it up and they left, and they let that man torture me in the Troy Police Department. They let that man torture me. So I actually won that case. They put 4 felonies and 3 misdemeanors on me. They blame the victim, right? Put all the felonies on me. So it took 3 years to even get my name cleared. And then after that, I went to civil court, which, I can't see how people can argue about going to the court system, because New York federal court is one of the most racist situations I have ever been in my life. And they're educated people, right? Supposedly, no, there's white supremacists. I start looking around and seeing what's on. Yeah, my lawyer, his only job was to try to get me to shake hands with these people, man. So I actually won that case. First time in Troy history cops have ever been charged with excessive force. But no justice was served. I still got a letter from the Department of Justice saying that they weren't going to prosecute him. So this is why we got to keep our boots on the ground. This is why we have to keep on pressuring these bourgeois politicians into actually caving into our demands. And it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. When I learned in the federal court system, we have to define what justice means, right? They're so legalistic about it, man. They're wordsmiths. So what does justice means? It means holding these murderers accountable for what they did. That also means holding the judges, holding the district attorneys, and anyone else complicit in the cover-ups of these murders, and prosecuting them as well. Prosecuting the DAs as well, because they know what's going on. And I had a conversation with Tamir Rice's mother, and she was saying that the district attorney was the police defense attorney. That's how they act. That's how they act.
Together.
They're all a part of this racist system.
That's why 90% of cases are plea deals, because they work together. And they tell us if we take it to trial, we will get more and more time. So because we're scared, we're poor, we want to go home to our families, we take plea deals and never get our day in court.
I ain't taking no plea. Angie ain't taking no plea. I ain't taking no plea. I didn't take the plea, and I won, and they still refused prosecution. So I just want to leave y'all with this. It's important to remember that these families are the moral compass of this fight. This fight has been watered with the blood of their loved ones. So if they're demanding prosecution as an honest supporter, you need to be demanding prosecution. If they're demanding the systematic reopening of all past cases of police brutality, that's what we need to be doing. So I met an honest activist along the way, and I'm gonna have him say a few words on the honest activist and what that means to us, the families. Oh, and I forgot to say, while I was fighting my criminal case, they killed my friend Daryl Mount Jr. So say his name.
Daryl Mount Jr.
Say his name.
Daryl Mount Jr.
Say his name.
Daryl Mount Jr.
Thank you. Slack.
I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to start off by saying Black Power, and I want y'all to repeat it after me. Black Power.
Black power.
Black Power.
Black power.
Black Power. Matter of fact, I got to start that all over. I'm sorry. Put your fist in the air. I want everybody to put your fist in the air. Everybody put your fist in the air. Now we're going to do this again. Black Power.
Black power.
Black Power.
Black power.
Black Power.
Black power.
Every hour.
Every hour.
I have this, you can't really see it too well because the sun is out, but I have this face-changing mask, right? And, sorry Mildred, I didn't know you were going to be here, but it had the faces of John Collado, Andrew Kids, and George Floyd on this mask, right? I love the fact that because of COVID, we are able now to walk around with face that show activism. We have clothing that shows our activism. We can voice ourselves just by literally walking down the street and having people see what's on our face, our expressions. Now the sad part is, it doesn't seem that anything is changing. Angie Kiss, as she said, has been fighting for 4 years for justice for her husband. I've been fighting alongside her from the moment the incident has occurred. Now, what I have found is, after being an activist for over 15 years in this game, fighting for police brutality, gun violence, police violence, street violence, all types of anything you could think of for my people, I've definitely been fighting for. But one thing I have definitely noticed within this fight that's even bigger than the police, that's even bigger than the system of white supremacy, because it goes hand in hand with the white supremacy system. It's these politicians and it's these organizations that side with the white supremacist system. You have these organizations that I witnessed personally firsthand take advantage of this woman right here, Angie Kears, as she's been fighting for justice. If you go on YouTube, you can look at Angie Kears' dash cam, and it shows Andrew Kidd dying in the back of that police van, or that police car. And it shows the negligence of overseers. I do not call them officers, they are overseers at this institution has always had them as overseers. They are not officers, they are overseers. Overseer Mark Weeks let her husband die in the back of that car as he pleaded for his life. And if you look up, he's only one of maybe 22 people who died at the hands of police who said, "I cannot breathe." It's not just Irma Garner who said, "I can't breathe." It's not just Andrew Kiss who say, "I can't breathe." These are stories and layers of people who have been products of police brutality. Now, my thing is, if you have a dash cam footage of a man dying on camera, we see what Eric Garner footage did, right, in order to get a law passed, right?
Yes.
We see what the dash cam footage, the dash cam footage that Fernando Castile did to show the Fernando Castile case. Why is it that nobody knows of Andrew Kearse, and we all live in New York City? Yet, and I'm not trying to take any shine away from it, because today is George Floyd Day, but however, George Floyd did not live in New York City. So, the job of the press, as we have the press here, the job of you guys is to make sure you know what's going on in your city. Instead of following these activists who make the news, instead of following these activists who are on Vice TV, instead of following these activists who are making these TV shows and getting $40,000 to make appearances like Hawk Newsom. You guys are following Black Lives Matter Greater New York, Hawk Newsom, and he took money from this woman right here. So when you have these organizations that you press choose to follow, make sure that you guys follow the families. Because if you notice, we have families here. We don't have organizations here. And I think they spoke really great for themselves. Did you guys not think so yourself? I think these survivors spoke greatly for themselves. They did not need any activists to speak out for them. They did not need a Reverend Al Sharpton to make everything out for them. They spoke for themselves. And it's the job of the press to make sure that you guys stick with these families. You make sure that you make sure you amplify the voices of these people who are not being heard. Because not everybody's going to get an Al Sharpton. Not everybody's going to get a fake-ass Hawk Newsom. Okay? Not everybody's going to get these big platforms in order to speak. And you know what happens when that happens? These families do not get heard. The story of John Collado should have been heard. The story of Andrew Kearse should have been heard. We're still fighting for justice for Sean Bill, for Tamir Rice, for Amadou Diallo, for Delron Small, for Admiral Owimo, who had a plunger stuck in his behind. We're still fighting for justice for the same things. Ramali Graham. So now the question is, we have names and lists of names that we can go down forever. How many times are we going to let these organizations use these names for profit and for blood money? That's the question, and I'll pose that to you guys as the press. Because you guys as the press are the ones, it's your responsibility to put out the news. And so when you guys choose to put these organizations and these activists with these big names on your screens instead of the families who are really going through it, that is you guys dropping the ball. Okay? That's you guys dropping the ball. As an activist for 15 years, most people have not seen my face, and that's the way it's supposed to be. An activist is not supposed to be seen.
Step in the back.
What's your name again?
My name is the president of the Andrew Kearse Foundation.
Woo!
That is my name. That is my name. Other than that, nothing else needs to be said. People will see me. They will always see me around. I don't need to be heard too much. And as I said, these people spoke greatly for themselves. There was no need for me to have to introduce anybody. But at the same time, I'm representing honest activism. Honest activists. And we're calling for more honest activists because the families need this. I don't need it. I don't need to be put on MSNBC or CNBC like these activists do. They do. Let their stories be told.
Yes, sir.
Black power.
Yes, sir.
Black power. Black power. Every hour.
Every hour.
All power to the people.
Power to the people.
All power to the people.
Power to the people.
Hey y'all, I'm not supposed to be speaking today, but when the ancestors speak through me, when Fubu speaks through me, because that's who I knew him as, I'm compelled to speak. And I'm a truth teller. And the one who said you can't stop a revolution, that's my 18-year-old daughter. So let me let you know that I am building generations of liberators.
Go ahead.
Delron Small was murdered July 4th at 12:03 by Isaac Waynes. They had a bit of an interaction. Isaac Waynes had just got off of work, and as the police do, They feel they can drive as they want, through anybody, over anybody, above anybody. Delron had his 3-month-old son and his girlfriend and his stepdaughter in the car. The police officer just happened to stop at the same place that Delron was going, across the street to his cousin's barbershop. When I tell you that I sat at Isaac Wayne's trial in November of 2017 and had to see my friend for over 20 years dead, and had to see how Isaac Waynes rolled down his window and shot my friend as he walked across the street 3 times, like you step on a roach, then got out his car, looked at my friend on the ground, and proceeded to call the ambulance for himself. Isaac Waynes is still a police officer. I sat in that courtroom for 3 weeks to hear them say not guilty. As we all watched on video as he killed this black man, this black father, this black brother, this black friend. So, brother, I hear you. There should be more people out here standing with us. You cannot say Black Lives Matter. You cannot say George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and not stand with the families, and not connect with the families, and not know what they're going through. That is performative. Black liberation is not a fad. The killing of black people is not pop culture. These are families.
It's not a trend.
Hurting. Every day it is not a photo-op. Most of the work that I do nationally, nobody sees. Because when you do it from the heart, you ain't gotta be in front of the camera. And if you do it for the heart, the camera gonna fucking find you.
Really though.
The only way we win is together. We are having marches today. And I'ma say, Tanisha Grant, right now, I am highly disappointed. I am highly disappointed that it is not filled with people right now, right here, standing with these families. How can we say that we are standing for George Floyd, that we are standing for Breonna Taylor, if we are not standing for our people right here, right now? It does not make sense. Get your shit together. I am talking to every organizer out here. Hear me. Do the work. Connect with the families. Just like Johnny was talking about Mama Rice, I speak to Mama Rice constantly. And I didn't have to get on the Grammys to do it.
Yup, talk about it.
Connect with the people you are saying you want justice for. Woo. Don't wait until it's you or yours. Don't be out here being performative. Everyone that's going to be at these marches today should be here right now.
Talk it right now.
And I'm going to call you out.
Said that shit. Say it again.
I'm going to call you out.
You hear it? Say it again, sister.
Because I do the work. And I did not just start this since last May.
Thank you, baby.
There have been many people that have lost their lives to police brutality before George Floyd.
Yup.
Many people. me. Because right now from here, I'm going to go to another march and I'm going to say the same fucking thing.
You got to deal with my mama, then you got to deal with me.
We do not win like this. We do not win being performative. We do not win saying their names but not feeling their pain. Woo!
Yes, Mom.
Woo! Now my brother said black power. I say all power to the people.
All power to the people!
All power to the people.
All power to the people!
All power to the people.
All power to the people!
My name is Tanisha Grant. If you don't know who I am, Google me. Woo!